How long you been parked here?
Just a few minutes. Waiting on a call. Everything's in order, officer.
We'll see about that. Go ahead and pop the door for me.
I don't consent to a search.
Don't make this harder. I'm checking the vehicle.
Sir. Federal credentials. Take a look.
A black man pulls onto the shoulder of a quiet county road. Red and blue lights flood his rear window. All of a sudden, a patrol officer walks up fast, asks loaded questions, then orders a search. No reason, no probable cause. The driver stays calm and says, no. The officer leans harder, calls for backup, and reaches for the trunk release anyway. Phones start recording, body cams are rolling, and what happened next was even more shocking. But before we explain what was so shocking, we have to go back to the beginning. Night air. A nearly empty county road. A black driver checks his mirror as red and blue burst alive behind him. He signals, glides to the shoulder, and waits with steady hands. An officer strides up fast, flashlight, squared shoulders, the look of a man who expects yes before he asks a question. The driver's tone is calm. License, registration. Routine turns rigid. The officer leans deeper, scanning the cabin, fishing with leading questions. The request comes hard. Consent to search? The answer is firm. No. The stop should end here. Instead, the clock keeps running. The officer stalls with small tasks, waits for backup, and stands between the driver and the night like a locked door. But what happened next took everyone by surprise. The driver states his rights, stays polite, and never raises his voice. The officer's voice tightens anyway. A hand drifts toward the trunk release. The driver's eyes sharpen. The microphone on the body cam hears every word the officer doesn't want on tape. This isn't an ordinary driver, and this isn't going to be an ordinary stop. This story lives where the law meets real life. Traffic stops are supposed to be simple. Handle the violation, write the ticket, or give a warning, and let people go. Officers can't search a car without consent or a legal reason. Stretching a stop just to fish for something, anything, is not how it's meant to work. On paper, every department preaches fairness. In practice, habits drift. Pressure builds. Some officers learn the wrong lesson. If you push, most people say yes. Most people get nervous. Most people fold. But this is where it gets interesting because our driver doesn't fold. He knows the rules. He knows the limits. And he knows how to make sure the camera sees what the badge tries to hide. Officer Brent Kincaid, young patrol cop with a hard edge and a short fuse when anyone pushes back. On paper, clean. In the field, stubborn. Marcus Hale, late 30s, calm eyes, quiet voice, professional posture even in a hoodie and jeans. He watches details like he was born for it because he was trained for it. Off duty tonight, but never off guard. Chief Linda Ortiz, veteran leader in a small department, trying to pull her agency into modern standards with body cams and better training. Sergeant Phil Booker, Kincaid's mentor, old school, loves control more than procedure. City Attorney Carla Nguyen and I. A Lieutenant Avery Cho, the legal mind and the investigator who will decide what this stop really cost. Ridge County, USA. A place with a courthouse cupola, a Friday night football stadium, and a downtown that closes by 9. New body cams rolled out 6 months ago. Most officers like them. Some just forget they're always rolling. It's early fall, 10:42 p.m. County Route 17 runs past a shuttered factory. The parking lot across the road is empty, except for one flickering light. Wind moves through the trees like a warning. Kincaid says he saw a rolling stop and a slight lane drift. Lights on. Siren chirp. Hale pulls over smooth and safe. Kincaid approaches fast, flashlight punching through the glass. The tone is sharp from the first sentence. Hale hands over documents, speaks plainly, and keeps his hands on the wheel. It should be routine. It doesn't feel routine. But this is where it gets interesting because the questions skip from license to where are you going to got anything illegal? Fast. Kincaid signals a search like it's a formality. Let me take a look and we'll clear it up. Hale declines. No anger, no theatrics, just clarity. I do not consent. He asks if he's free to go after the citation. The air tightens. Kincaid doesn't move to end the stop. He circles the car with his flashlight, tapping the trunk with his palm. But that's not all. A second unit's already en route. The ticket process stalls. Kincaid lingers on the radio, calls for a canine that's 20 minutes away. Hale sits still, patient, eyes forward. On camera, the stop has drifted beyond its mission. Minutes stack up. A simple traffic stop morphs into a fishing expedition on the side of a dark road. And that's when everything started to fall apart because the longer Kincaid waits, the thinner his justification gets.
Kincaid orders Hale out of the car. A pat-down on the shoulder of the road becomes a search attempt by Inch's hand floating near pockets, edging toward the trunk release. Hale's voice stays level. "I don't consent to a search of my vehicle." The officer's eyes flash irritation. The flashlight beam shakes slightly. But that wasn't even the craziest part, because Kincaid starts framing a reason he doesn't have. Hale pivots, calmly states he's a federal agent, off-duty, with credentials in his wallet and a second set locked in the glove box. He doesn't wave it around, he announces it, for the camera and for the record. He offers the ID when asked, on the condition the car stays closed. But you won't believe what happened right after Kincaid's face hardens. He radios in a possible impersonator. Sergeant Booker arrives, posture saying everything. "Side with your own." He nods at Kincaid and zeroes in on Hale. Booker talks about officer safety and asks again to search the car. Hale repeats his refusal. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't step toward anyone. He simply sets his phone on the dash, camera facing out. And that's when everything flipped upside down because that phone is live recording too. Dispatch confirms. Marcus Hale is exactly who he says he is. Federal agent. Current. Cleared. The radio crackles, and a slice of silence cuts the night. Kincaid looks at Booker. Booker looks at the camera's blinking red dot. Then Kincaid says the line that will end his career. "We're going to search anyway." But hold on, it gets even wilder because the supervisor is already rolling. Hale cites the law in plain English. You can't extend a stop without cause. You can't search a car I didn't consent to. He doesn't threaten, he documents. He speaks to the camera like it's a witness. The wind picks up. The empty factory light buzzes. But you won't believe what happened right after that headlights approach. Chief Ortiz steps out. Ortiz takes in the scene in 10 seconds. 2 officers, 1 calm driver, 2 cameras, and a stop that should have ended 15 minutes ago. She orders the search halted. Apology issued on camera. Hale is released. Kincaid is told to report to Internal Affairs at 0800. Booker's jaw tightens. But this is where it all changed because the road is quiet again, but the real storm is about to break. Morning. IA requests bodycam and dashcam files. Routine until it isn't. A 38-second clip surfaces on local social media, showing the moment Kincaid said, "We're going to search anyway." The comments come hard and fast. Trust doesn't erode in decades, it can crumble in hours. But if you thought this was it, you're in for a surprise because the footage is only the opening act. IA syncs radio logs, timestamps, CAD entries. The timeline is brutal. The ticket steps end, but the detention keeps going. The K-9 is called for no reason that survives daylight. City Attorney Nguyen sees the liability. Emails fly. Memos stack. The union reps circle, arguing the officers acted in good faith. IA's Lieutenant Cho doesn't argue. She measures. She plots every prior stop Kincaid made in the last 6 months, then overlays who got asked for a search. Patterns don't lie. But what came next was beyond anyone's expectations. The pattern shows a sharp racial skew. Not every case is wrongdoing, but enough point the same way to force a reckoning. The chief reads the report twice. The second time, she signs her name on the action line. But the community wants more than a suspension. They want a system that stops this before it starts. A town hall fills. Calm voices tell hard truths. The department's reputation is on the line, and so is its budget if lawsuits multiply. And that's when they realized it was far from over because firing one officer won't fix a culture. It takes rules, audits, and courage. The body cam tells a strict story. After the ticket was ready, the stop kept going for no clear reason. The dash cam shows Hale's driving was fine after the pullover. Radio logs prove the canine call came with no new facts. The audio captures clear refusal of consent, more than once. But this is where it gets interesting because Kincaid's prior stops reveal a habit of pushing on certain drivers and not others. It's not a court case yet, but it's a management case today. When the tape and the timeline agree, the defense gets thin. But that's not all. There's more to the story. The chief's own memo had warned officers not to stretch stops and not to treat consent like a checkbox. Kincaid signed that memo. IA prints the signature. The pen marks look heavy, like even the ink knew this day would come. Traffic stops are where most people meet the justice system. If they feel fair, trust lives. If they feel rigged, trust dies. Hale had training, calm, and a camera. Most drivers don't. That's the point. Systems must protect the most vulnerable driver on the worst night, not just the best prepared one. But that wasn't the worst part, because when corners get cut, the cost isn't only legal, it's human. Anxiety, humiliation, and anger echo long after the lights go dark. Communities remember. So do good officers, who get painted with the same brush. The chief fires Kincaid for violating policy. Unlawful prolongation, attempted search without consent or cause, and conduct unbecoming. Booker receives a suspension and mandatory retraining. The union threatens arbitration. The city attorney prepares anyway. But if you thought this was it, you're wrong because a state decertification board opens a review. That's a career ender, not just a job loss. Kincaid's file isn't just measured by one night, but by pattern-smished coaching opportunities, shrugged off warnings, corners he kept trying to cut. Hale doesn't hold a press conference. He files a simple claim through counsel: unlawful detention, violation of rights, emotional distress. The city settles. Not an eye-watering number, but enough to be noticed. The settlement includes reforms that matter more than money. But here's the twist no one saw coming. The reforms are drafted with help from the community and line officers who want better too. When people who care sit at the same table, policy stops being paper and starts being practice. The department adopts a stop clock rule. When the goal of the stop is done, the stop is done. Any extension needs articulable facts, on camera, in the moment. A consent script becomes mandatory. Officers must make it clear that drivers can say no, and they must record the answer. No hedging, no pressure, no word games. Quarterly disparity audits go live. Supervisors review footage, not just numbers, and coach early. Data doesn't accuse, it alerts. Training drills real scenarios where officers learn to end a stop, even when curiosity whispers, one more question. But that wasn't even the craziest part because the reforms work. Complaints drop. Clearance rates stay steady. Respect goes up. In the final body cam clip filed to IA, you can hear the sound the night made when truth walked in. Wind through trees, a buzzing lot light, and a calm voice saying no to a search that never should have been asked for. Hale drives away without a victory lap. He doesn't need one. The win is structural. Kincaid hands in his badge. There's no applause when a door closes on a career, only the lesson it leaves. Booker returns from suspension quieter, more careful, and maybe better. The chief updates the training slides and the field expectations. No fishing, no stretching. Do the job, then let people go. But you won't believe what happened right after. Routine stops start feeling routine again. Drivers breathe easier. Good officers feel covered by clear rules. The cameras are still on, but they record something different now: competence. And that's when things took an unexpected turn, because the fix didn't end the story. It began better ones. A small town, a hard night, and a rule book that finally matches the values printed on the side of the cruiser. In the end, the road goes quiet, the light keeps buzzing, and the lesson is simple enough for anyone to narrate. Rights aren't loud, but they are strong. Keep them close, use them calmly,
and builds systems that protect them even when the wrong person is standing in the right uniform. Did you think the officer's dismissal was justified? Should the officer be fired, suspended, or retrained? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe,